There comes a moment in every life when the invisible begins to rearrange itself for your favor. A moment when destiny starts moving, not loudly, not with chaos, but quietly, like the first light before sunrise. You may not see drastic change yet. You may still wake up in the same room, walk through the same challenges, face the same battles. But something has shifted. The energy has turned. The big win you have prayed for, believed for, prepared for is on its way. Your life does not change when the world changes. It changes when you do. When your inner assumptions shift, the world must follow. The victory does not come from outside forces deciding to be kind to you. It comes from the conviction within you rising like a giant and declaring, "My success is inevitable." When you claim something in your heart, the universe must deliver it into your hand. There is a law that governs all creation. What you assume as real becomes real. The moment you accepted that you are worthy of more, the moment you stop settling for less than what you desire, the moment you refuse to repeat the same old narrative, that's when the shift began. That's when the wind started moving toward you. Right now, while you're listening to these words, doors are unlocking that you cannot yet see. People are talking about your name in rooms you haven't entered. Opportunities that once seemed impossible are being aligned with your path. Everything is synchronizing for your good, orchestrated with precision beyond human understanding. You may have been in a long season of waiting, waiting for the healing, waiting for the breakthrough, waiting for the resources, waiting for the yes that changes everything. And perhaps this waiting made you doubt whether anything was happening at all. But the seed grows before the plant is visible. The shift happens before the blessing arrives. The answer forms before it reaches your hands. Do not judge your future by what your physical eyes see at the moment. The physical is always the last to show what has already been completed spiritually. There is a powerful truth you must hold. You are not chasing your big win, it is moving toward you. Life responds to who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are chosen, favored, destined, life has no choice but to reflect that belief. The moment you accept peace, chaos loses power. The moment you accept abundance, lack collapses. The moment you accept success, failure becomes irrelevant. You do not need to fight for what is already yours. You only need to assume it and feel it fulfilled. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the victory already here. Imagine the message you will receive, the call that will change your path, the celebration of a new chapter. Feel the relief, the gratitude, the joy that comes when everything finally works out. When you feel the end as though it has already happened, the end must show itself. Your imagination is not daydreaming, it is the blueprint of your destiny. It is the place where things are created before they appear. Every great transformation begins in that inner world. Stand firm in your assumption that the tide has turned. Stand firm in your belief that things are shifting. Stand firm in your knowing that a big win is on its way now. You have come too far for the story to stop here. All the challenges, all the struggles, all the disappointments, they were not signs of failure, but signs of preparation. The pressure was shaping you into the version of yourself who is ready to hold the blessing. And when the blessing, you are stepping into a season where everything aligns effortlessly, where what once felt distant suddenly becomes obvious, where you look back and say, it was worth every moment of waiting. And in fact, it may seem your breakthrough is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of identity. You were designed for greatness. You were built for abundance. You were chosen for victory, and what is chosen must manifest. The moment you dared to believe in more, the universe responded. A major breakthrough has already been set in motion in the unseen. Long before you witness the change with your physical eyes, the transformation begins in the invisible realm. Every desire, every prayer, every dream you have held in your heart has already initiated a ripple of movement behind the scenes. What you believe, what you imagine, what you expect, these are not empty thoughts. They are creative forces. The moment you decided you wanted more, the moment you aligned your heart with a higher possibility, something in the unseen world responded. Breakthroughs rarely announce themselves at the beginning. They do not shout, they do not display. They develop quietly. Like a seed planted deep beneath the soil, growth happens without proof. There are no immediate signs, no explanations, no obvious validation. But still change is happening. The roots are forming, the foundation is being established. Just because you cannot see it yet does not mean it isn't already on its way to becoming real. Too often people doubt themselves in this invisible stage. They look around and see no evidence, so they assume nothing is working. They look at the same circumstances and think their prayer went unheard. But the unseen world is always a step ahead of the seen. What appears still in your life is actually shifting. What appears delayed is being delivered in perfect timing. What appears silent is quietly speaking favor over you. There are resources right now aligning with your path, resources you do not yet know exist. There are connections being orchestrated, people you haven't met who will be essential to your victory. There are opportunities preparing to intersect your life at the exact moment you are ready. Everything that belongs to you is already forming, already moving, already being arranged in your favor. Your belief is the activation. Every time you choose faith over fear, you lift the path higher. Every time you refuse to settle for what contradicts your desire, you magnetize what aligns with your purpose. Breakthrough does not begin when you see the outcome. It begins when you claim the outcome. It begins in the imagination, in the acceptance, in the inner knowing that what you desire is yours. The unseen is not uncertain. It is secure. It is the truest reality because it is not yet influenced by doubt or delay. The unseen carries pure intention. It carries your future success untouched by fear. That is why you must not give up just because you cannot track the progress. You do not need to see movement to trust that movement is happening. You only need to hold your belief steady long enough for the invisible to become visible. Right now, a major breakthrough is nearing completion in the realm you cannot yet touch. The moment is approaching when it will break through the surface and become undeniable. You will look back at this very season and realize that what you thought was stillness was preparation. What you felt was silence was orchestration. What looked empty was actually full of promise. Your breakthrough isn't waiting to start, it has already been set in motion. And soon, what was once unseen will show up as the greatest blessing of your life. Your inner shift, not outside circumstances, is what attracts the big win. All true change begins within you, not around you. So many people spend their lives trying to force the world to change in their favor, waiting for others to treat them better, waiting for opportunities to appear, waiting for luck to finally choose them. But the outer world does not transform until the inner world does. The moment you change how you see yourself, the moment you rise in your own belief, the moment you align your thoughts and feelings with the life you desire, that is when everything external begins to shift. Your assumptions about yourself are like magnets. If you assume lack, you attract lack. If you assume success, you attract success. Life mirrors what you believe you deserve, and belief is not formed by what you see, but by what you decide to accept as truth on the inside. You can be surrounded by challenges and still carry a victorious identity. You can face temporary setbacks and still feel unstoppable in your spirit. That inner stance is what calls the big win forth. The world you live in today is a reflection of the thoughts and assumptions you held yesterday. So when you want a new outcome, you don't look outward, you look inward. Transformation is not about forcing change, but becoming the version of yourself that naturally attracts it. When you upgrade your self-concept, when you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles and begin to see yourself as someone who succeeds, everything in your reality must adjust. The inner shift is a declaration. It's the moment you stop asking whether you are capable and start knowing that you are. It is the moment you stop begging for blessings and start embodying the blessed version of yourself. It is the moment you stop waiting for permission and start claiming your destiny. As your internal identity rises, the outer world has no choice but to respond. A big win doesn't arrive because conditions are perfect. It arrives because you are in alignment. You are no longer doubting, hoping, or wishing. You are assuming, expecting, and feeling the end already fulfilled. When you live emotionally in the victory before it arrives physically, the universe confirms your assumption. Even if nothing around you visibly changes today, do not be fooled. The change has already begun inside you. Every doubt you replace with certainty strengthens the foundation for your breakthrough. Every fearful thought you replace with faith accelerates the manifestation. Every grateful feeling you hold, even before the blessing arrives, opens the door wider. Circumstances are followers, not leaders. They follow the direction of your deepest belief. So decide right now that you are not waiting for the win, you are welcoming it. You are not hoping to succeed, you are stepping into success. You are not trying to become worthy, you already are. The shift has already started because you have changed within. And when the inside transforms, the outside has no choice but to rise to match it. Your big win is simply the world catching up to who you have already become. What you assume and accept as truth determines what manifests in your life. Every experience you call reality is shaped by the beliefs you hold most firmly within. You may think reality is something that happens to you, something controlled by luck, circumstance, or the actions of others, but in truth, life is reflecting back to you what you consistently assume to be true about yourself and your world. The invisible assumptions you carry are not harmless thoughts. They are powerful commands directing the course of your life. Your imagination does not create possibilities by chance. It creates the blueprint of your destiny. When you accept a thought as truth, you give it permission to appear in physical form. If you assume you are always overlooked, Life will bring situations where you are unseen. If you assume that money is hard to come by, life will continue to tighten your financial circumstances. If you assume that love is out of reach, relationships will always feel like a losing battle. These assumptions become the structure of your existence. But here is the liberating truth. If your assumptions create your reality, then you are not stuck. You are powerful. The moment you choose to assume differently, reality must shift to mirror your new belief. When you decide, truly decide, that you are chosen, worthy, abundant, capable, and destined for more, the universe begins to transform to match that decision. A new assumption is not just a thought, it is a new identity. Change does not come from forcing the world to behave differently. It comes from changing what you believe is true for you. You must believe in the desired outcome so deeply that it feels natural, inevitable, unquestionable. When you accept success as your truth, opportunities emerge that once seemed impossible. When you accept healing as your truth, your body and circumstances begin to realign. When you accept love as your truth, relationships take on a new frequency. Every assumption carries a feeling, and that feeling is what manifests. You cannot say that you believe in abundance while feeling fear and lack inside. You cannot say that you will win while expecting disappointment. Your emotional acceptance is the signal that calls your desire into form. What you assume must be felt as done, as certain, as part of who you are now. Often, people sabotage their own manifestations by returning to their old assumptions too quickly. They plant the seed of a new belief, but when they don't see immediate evidence, they dig it up with doubt. You cannot demand proof and hold faith at the same time. You must persist in the assumption even when nothing seems to be happening, because something is happening. In the unseen, in the foundations of reality, in the energetic structure of your future. Your outer world is always behind your inner world. What you assume today will be what you live tomorrow. So choose your assumptions with intention. Accept the truth that empowers you, not the one that limits you. Claim a narrative that honors your dreams, not one that contradicts them. Once you accept the highest version of yourself as your truth, life will rise to meet that truth. Manifestation is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of what you choose to assume as real. The delay is not denial. It's preparation of the perfect outcome. When the things you desire don't arrive on your preferred timeline, it's easy to believe something has gone wrong. You start to worry that maybe the dream wasn't meant for you, that perhaps you misheard your calling, or that life is ignoring your belief. But what feels like delay is often strategic alignment. What seems like waiting is really shaping. What looks like silence is actually orchestration. There is a divine order working behind every scene of your life. The universe does not rush because it does not fear lack. It operates with perfect timing, placing every piece exactly where it needs to be. Sometimes you are ready for the blessing, but the blessing is not yet ready for you. Other times the blessing is ready, but you still need to grow into the version of yourself who can sustain it. Big wins require big capacity, and capacity is built in the waiting. Delay is the space where preparation happens. It is where strength is shaped, where clarity deepens, where character is refined. You are gaining the wisdom, discipline, and emotional stability that will allow you to hold your blessing without losing yourself. You are learning what you need to release so you can receive what is better. You are uncovering a stronger identity so that when the breakthrough arrives, you will be able to maintain it, protect it, and expand it. If everything you asked for showed up instantly, you might not value it, understand it, or even recognize it. The waiting teaches appreciation. It reveals what is truly important. It filters out the distractions that once pulled you away from your purpose. You are not simply waiting for the future is being sculpted around you. Think of a seed underground. Nothing appears to be happening. No growth is visible. The surface looks unchanged. But under the soil, roots are anchoring deep, preparing to burst through the ground with life. If someone judged that moment too soon, they might assume the seed had failed. But the delay is not failure, it is the very foundation of success. So when you feel stuck, do not confuse delayed timing with denied destiny. Life has a way of protecting you from less than you deserve. It removes what is too small. It redirects you from what would have harmed you. It pauses what would have arrived prematurely. The delay is a gift, a sign that something greater and more aligned is being prepared. Hold faith during the unseen process. Keep your vision active. Celebrate what is coming even before it arrives. Trust that when the right moment comes, things will happen faster than you can imagine. Doors will open that once seemed unmovable. Opportunities will appear effortlessly. What took months or years to prepare will manifest in a single moment of breakthrough. You are not being forgotten, you are being formed. You are not being denied, you are being delivered into the perfect alignment for your blessing. When everything comes together, you will look back and understand. The delay was not holding you back, it was setting you up for the greatest outcome of your life. Your belief is the invitation that summons your blessing. Nothing enters your life uninvited. Every good thing you desire is searching for a doorway, and that doorway is your belief. Belief is not merely optimism or wishful thinking, it is the inner conviction that what you desire is already yours. It is the mental and emotional acceptance of a reality not yet visible. When you believe with certainty, you are not hoping something will happen, you are acknowledging that it cannot fail to happen. Belief sends a clear signal to the universe, a declaration that you are ready to receive. It lifts you out of the energy of waiting and places you into the frequency of having. Many people ask for blessings, but deep down they doubt whether those blessings could ever arrive for them. That doubt acts like a closed door. Even though they desire more, their disbelief sends the message that they are not yet prepared to accept it. Blessings respond to expectation. When you believe, you align yourself with solutions, opportunities, connections, and breakthroughs that already exist for you in potential form. You become a magnet to the very things you have prayed for. Life does not withhold anything from you, but you can block your own good by refusing to believe in its possibility. Belief is power. It transforms the unseen into the seen. It converts spiritual promise into physical experience. When you choose to believe in a higher outcome, even when circumstances appear stagnant or challenging, you activate forces beyond the physical, forces that begin to move people, events, and timing in your favor. There is a reason. Success often begins long before success is visible. It begins the moment you see yourself differently, the moment you decide that your future does not depend on past limitations, the moment you stop questioning your worthiness. That is when the blessing receives its invitation. Belief opens the door. Belief says, "Come forward, for I am ready." Belief removes the barriers that once seemed immovable. It silences the voices of fear and doubt that try to convince you to shrink back. It allows the impossible to become logical, the unexpected to become natural. And belief must be persistent. It must continue even when nothing has changed yet in your outer world. When you hold on to belief in the silence, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, that is when your invitation becomes irresistible. You are proving that you trust the blessing is real even before you can hold it. And when you believe like that, the universe rushes to meet your certainty. Blessings arrive where belief lives. They gravitate to faith-filled imaginations, to hearts that already feel the success, to minds that already see the victory. Belief is not something you apply after the miracle. Belief is what births the miracle. Right now, every desire in your heart is waiting to be welcomed. Your blessing is not far. It is at the door. So stand in your belief. Claim the outcome. Expect the breakthrough. Because the moment you truly believe, you have already summoned the blessing into your life. Life from the feeling of the victory that is already yours. The greatest secret to manifesting what you desire is to emotionally step into the outcome before it becomes physical. Most people wait to celebrate until the success appears, but the ones who transform their lives live from the celebration before the evidence arrives. When you feel victorious now, reality must rearrange itself to match that inner state. You are not pretending, you are aligning with the truth that already exists in the unseen. Every accomplishment begins first as a feeling of certainty, of joy, of relief, of fulfillment. When you embody those emotions ahead of time, you send a powerful message to the universe. The outcome has already happened. By living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you eliminate doubt, fear, and hesitation. You raise your identity to the level of your desire. You stop asking, when will it come, and start declaring, it is already mine. The feeling of victory is not just excitement, it is grounded assurance. It is the deep knowing that no matter what the physical world shows right now, the end result is guaranteed. It is the inner voice confidently saying, I have won, I am chosen. I am living the reality that once lived only in my imagination. When you anchor yourself in that state of mind, the universe responds, because emotion is the energetic signature of creation. Think about how you would live if the blessing had already arrived. How would you walk? How would you speak? What decisions would you make? How would you treat yourself? What standards would you hold? Step into that version of yourself now. If you are waiting for the outer world to change before you feel victorious, you are operating backwards. The feeling comes first, the change follows. This emotional alignment is not a game of fantasy. It is the most practical action you can take. When you feel abundance, you naturally behave in ways that attract more. When you feel confident, you show up with strength and clarity. When you feel loved, you become a magnet for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Your actions evolve to match the identity of someone who already has the victory, and life responds in kind. There will be moments when doubt tries to return, when circumstances tempt you to lower your vision back to what you see. In those moments, remind yourself, the physical is always the last to show what is already true in the spirit. Refuse to let temporary illusions dictate your permanent promise. Choose the feeling of fulfillment again and again, even in silence, even in waiting, even when the results haven't surfaced. You are not hoping for victory, you are remembering it. You are not wishing for the outcome, You are stepping into what you already secured through belief. When you persist in the feeling of the end must show itself. Victory is not a distant event, it is your current identity. You are living from the triumph that has already been written in your favor. The world is simply catching up to who you have already become. Everything you have been believing for, everything you have been preparing for, everything you have been holding in faith is already making its way into your reality. The shift has begun. You are no longer waiting for the big win, you are aligning with it. You are no longer hoping for breakthrough. You are living from the truth that breakthrough is guaranteed. The unseen has already moved in your favor, and soon the visible world will reveal what has been unfolding silently all along. Continue to stand in your belief. Continue to speak from victory. Continue to walk as the person who has already received every blessing destined for them. Your story is transforming. Your life is rising. Your win is approaching quickly, and nothing can stop it. What belongs to you is coming with certainty, acceleration, and divine timing. Thank you for listening, and thank you for believing in the greatness that is already yours. The best chapter of your life is now beginning. There comes a moment in every life when the invisible begins to move, when the ground beneath you starts to hum with unseen power, when everything that seems stagnant begins to rearrange itself, quietly, perfectly, divinely. That moment, my friend, is now. A divine shift is coming, and it's coming for you. You may not see it yet, but something sacred is unfolding in the unseen. The pieces are moving, the connections are forming, the situations that once stood still are turning in your favor. Life is not random. Every event, every delay, every closed door was working together to position you for this season. You have walked through the dark, not to be punished, but to be prepared. Now, the universe, the divine intelligence behind all things, is orchestrating your elevation. You've entered a new vibration, a new consciousness. You're beginning to realize that your outer world is only a reflection of what you've already accepted within. When you stop begging for change and start assuming it, when you feel that what you desire is already yours, the shift becomes inevitable. The outer world cannot resist the conviction of an awakened soul. It must conform, it must rearrange. Circumstances, people, and events begin to align as though an unseen hand were guiding them, because one is. You've been waiting for a sign, this is it. The weariness you felt was not the end. It was a final contraction before birth. The struggle was not punishment, it was preparation. The delays were not denial, they were divine alignment. You are stepping into a realm where things move easily, where doors open without effort, where what once resisted you now recognizes you. You are no longer chasing, it's coming to you. The shift is not on its way, it's already here. Everything that belongs to you, peace, abundance, healing, love, is finding its way back. Every force that was against you is now working for you. Even what you lost will return in greater form. So stand firm in your inner knowing. Rest in the unseen. Speak only from fulfillment. feel only from completion. Because when your inner world aligns with divine truth, the outer world cannot help but obey. The divine shift is not something to hope for, it is something to embody. And once you do, everything, everything will begin to work for you. There is a mysterious process always at work beneath the surface of life, an invisible rearrangement that precedes every visible change. What appears to be coincidence, luck, or divine intervention is not random at all. It is the quiet movement of unseen forces aligning themselves according to your dominant state of being. Everything that you experience in the physical world first takes shape in the invisible realm of consciousness. The outer world is not the cause, it is the effect. What you hold true within yourself, what you continually feel and assume, becomes the pattern that the universe must mirror back to you. Most people live as though life is happening to them, reacting to circumstances as if they are separate from them. But life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Every emotion, every mental image, every quiet assumption plants a seed in the unseen. Those seeds germinate in silence, out of view, until the moment they break through the surface as events, people, and opportunities. What you are feeling today will soon become the environment you stand in tomorrow. So, if you want to change your world, you must first change what you believe to be true within yourself. There is no such thing as an idle thought. Every thought carries energy, and every sustained feeling becomes a command to the unseen. The invisible realm does not judge, it simply reflects. If you constantly dwell on lack, struggle, and fear, the unseen will rearrange circumstances to match that vibration. But if you choose to dwell in the feeling of abundance, peace, and certainty, life will move mountains to deliver the outer reflection of that inner state. The universe is impartial, but profoundly obedient to your inner conviction. You may not see immediate evidence of change, and that is where most give up. They assume that nothing is happening because the outer world still looks the same. But faith understands that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. The farmer does not doubt the harvest just because the seed is buried underground. He knows the soil is at work even in silence. So it is with you. The delay is not denial. It is the time required for invisible forces to reorganize themselves in your favor. Think of your consciousness as the scriptwriter of your life. Every scene that will unfold is being written now through your inner assumptions. The people who will enter your life, the opportunities that will appear, the timing of events, all of it is being orchestrated by the frequency you hold. This rearrangement is not chaotic. It is divine intelligence responding to your belief. The moment you change your inner story, everything connected to the old story begins to dissolve, and the new arrangement begins to form. So if things seem uncertain, if the old is falling apart, do not despair. That is often the surest sign that the invisible has begun to move. The old structures must crumble to make space for the new design. Keep your attention anchored in the end you desire. Live inwardly as though it is already done. Feel the peace, the gratitude, the satisfaction of completion. By doing so, you activate the invisible shift that precedes manifestation. The unseen realm is loyal to your inner world. What you feel and assume now is not a wish, it is a prophecy. The invisible rearrangement is already underway, preparing the outer world to match the truth you hold within. So trust the process, remain faithful to your vision, and watch as the invisible becomes visible perfectly and inevitably. There is a sacred harmony that exists between your inner world and the outer world you experience. When your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs move in one direction, when they agree with the desire you hold, life itself begins to obey that inner alignment. You do not have to force or chase what you want. The universe responds not to your words but to your state of being. Inner alignment is the moment when the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the feeling heart unite in agreement that your desire is already fulfilled. It is a silent conviction, a deep knowing that what you seek is already yours. Most people unknowingly live in contradiction. They desire abundance but feel lack. They affirm love but carry the vibration of rejection. They pray for peace but dwell in fear. The result is confusion, both within and without. Life can only mirror the vibration you are radiating, and it cannot bring harmony to what is divided inside you. When your desire and your inner state disagree, you experience delay, resistance, and frustration. But when they agree, when you no longer feel separate from what you desire, the law of life moves swiftly and effortlessly to bring it into being. Inner alignment does not come from effort, it comes from acceptance. It begins when you stop hoping and start assuming, when you stop seeing your desire as distant and begin to feel it as present. That shift from wanting to being is where the magic happens. You cannot experience something externally that you have not already accepted internally. When your inner world and your desire become one, reality has no choice but to catch up. This alignment is not about pretending or forcing positive thoughts. It is about embodying the feeling of the wish, fulfilled until it becomes natural. You are not trying to convince yourself. It is the quiet recognition that what you have imagined exists now in the unseen and is moving toward visibility. When you hold that feeling consistently, the outer world rearranges to support it. The people you need begin to appear. The timing unfolds perfectly. Obstacles dissolve as if they were never real. Life starts to flow, not because you pushed, but because you aligned. Inner alignment is the art of surrendering resistance. It means releasing the need to control outcomes and trusting that divine order is already handling the details. You align by becoming still within, by seeing yourself already living in the end. You think from the fulfillment, not toward it. You feel the gratitude of completion, not the anxiety of waiting. This inner shift sends out a frequency that draws matching experiences like a magnet. The moment you stop seeking and start being, the outer world begins to obey your new vibration. If you are not seeing what you desire yet, look inward, not outward. Ask yourself, am I aligned with my desire or am I aligned with the absence of it? The answer will always reveal the cause of your experience. Every change must begin in consciousness. Once your inner world agrees with your vision, everything external becomes a reflection of that harmony. This is the true power of inner alignment. It removes all struggle. Life stops being something you chase and becomes something that unfolds. The outer world has no choice but to mirror the truth you hold within. When your inner state and your desire are one, manifestation becomes natural, inevitable, and effortless. Everything begins to move in your favor because life always obeys the harmony of your inner being. Life, in its most profound truth, is a mirror. Every circumstance, every relationship, Every opportunity that enters your experience is a reflection of your inner conviction, what you believe, feel, and assume to be true about yourself and the world. The divine law of reflection governs this process perfectly and impartially. It does not respond to your wishes or words alone. It responds to the vibration of your inner state. You cannot escape your own consciousness, for the outer world is only showing you what you persist in believing within. Many live under the illusion that life happens to them, that events are random, that people are unfair, or that luck determines success. Yet the truth is far deeper and more empowering. Life happens through you, not to you. The world is a stage upon which your inner state performs. If you carry thoughts of fear, lack, or doubt, the mirror of life will reflect circumstances that confirm those beliefs. But if you hold faith, love, and confidence as your inner truth, then life will reflect experiences that match that higher vibration. The outer world has no power of its own. It merely projects what is already established within you. This law operates with perfect precision. It does not make exceptions, and it cannot be tricked by appearances. What you see out there is never independent of what you hold in here. The people who uplift or challenge you, the situations that delight or frustrate you, are all responses to your state of consciousness. This is why lasting change never begins in the outer world. You can change jobs, cities, or relationships, but until you change your inner assumptions, the same patterns will reappear in different forms. You cannot run from your reflection. You must transform it from within. To use this divine law consciously, begin by taking responsibility for your inner world. Instead of reacting to appearances, observe them as mirrors showing you your current state. If you are met with rejection, ask yourself, where within you have rejected yourself? If you encounter limitation, ask where within you have assumed lack. Once you see that life is only reflecting your consciousness, you hold the key to transformation. When you deliberately shift your inner state, when you choose to feel abundance instead of scarcity, peace instead of worry, wholeness instead of need, the outer reflection must change. It may not happen instantly, just as a reflection in water takes a moment to settle when disturbed, but it will always follow your inner lead. The law is unfailing. Your responsibility is not to fix the mirror, but to adjust the face you show to it. The beauty of this truth is its simplicity. You are never at the mercy of circumstances, because circumstances are your own creation. When you claim a new identity within, when you persist in the feeling of being already fulfilled, the world obediently reorganizes itself to match your conviction. The people who once resisted you will soften. Opportunities will appear from nowhere. Closed doors will open as if guided by an unseen hand. The divine law of reflection is not punishment or reward. It is perfect justice. It shows you yourself so that you may awaken. Change your inner state and everything around you will be transformed. The world is your mirror, and when you look into it with eyes of faith, love, and certainty, it reflects back a reality as beautiful and abundant as your belief. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between what you desire and what you experience. It is not a mere hope or wish. It is a deep, unshakable conviction that what you have imagined already exists in the unseen and will, in perfect time, take form in the seen. True faith does not rely on evidence. It creates evidence. It is the inner certainty that precedes the outer manifestation. When you hold this confidence within, Life has no choice but to align itself with your belief. Most people wait for proof before they believe. They want to see change before they feel secure, to touch the promise before they celebrate it. But that is not faith, that is observation. Faith operates in the opposite direction. It begins by claiming the invisible as already yours, even when every sense denies it. It means walking as though it is done, speaking from completion, and feeling from fulfillment. When you embody that state, you set divine forces into motion that cannot fail. The unseen realm responds to conviction, not to doubt. When your heart knows something to be true, even when logic cannot explain it, you are standing in the power that shapes worlds. Faith is not blind. It sees more clearly than the natural eye. It looks beyond appearances and recognizes that every unseen cause is more real than the visible effect. The physical world is only the shadow of what exists in consciousness. By maintaining faith, you are aligning yourself with the higher cause, and the shadow must eventually conform. Faith demands courage, for it often asks you to believe in what no one else can see. It asks you to stand firm when circumstances seem contrary, to remain calm when everything appears uncertain. But those who live by faith understand that appearances are temporary. They are echoes of old beliefs fading away. The moment you hold a new assumption with unwavering certainty, the old reality begins to dissolve. It may tremble and resist, but it cannot survive in the presence of true conviction. You are never waiting for something to happen. You are only waiting for your faith to mature into manifestation. The seed of faith planted within you already contains the full-grown tree. Your task is not to make it grow through effort, but to water it daily with belief and gratitude. Every time you choose to believe in the unseen, you strengthen the bridge between thought and form. You allow divine timing to unfold without interference, knowing that the universe always delivers what matches your inner certainty. Faith beyond evidence is not about pretending or forcing optimism. It is about knowing. It is the calm assurance that what you have desired is already accomplished in the higher realm. This knowing brings peace in the waiting, joy in the uncertainty, and power in the unseen. It transforms delay into preparation and struggle into alignment. Life unsuccessfully being the ultimate, culminating in the uncertainty. When you walk by faith, you are no longer ruled by what your senses report. You rise above appearances and operate from the truth that all things are possible to the one who believes. You no longer ask, when will it come? For you understand that it already is. The evidence may not yet be visible, but it is forming, gathering, aligning itself with divine precision. Faith is the unseen architect building your future behind the curtain of time. And when the curtain lifts, the world will witness what your heart has always known to be true. There is a rhythm to life, a sacred order that moves with precision beyond human understanding. Every moment, every encounter, every apparent delay is part of a divine orchestration designed to bring you exactly what you need, exactly when you are ready to receive it. When you learn to surrender to divine timing, you step out of frustration and into flow. You stop pushing against the current of life and allow the unseen intelligence to guide you to your destination in perfect order. So often, impatience blinds us to the beauty of divine timing. We believe that if something hasn't appeared yet, it must be delayed or denied. But nothing is ever truly late. The universe does not operate by human clocks. It moves according to spiritual readiness. There are seasons in your life, and each one serves a sacred purpose. The waiting is not wasted time. It is a time when invisible forces are aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances to serve your highest good. You may not always see what is happening behind the scenes, but that does not mean nothing is happening. The soil does not reveal the roots that are forming, yet the roots are what make the tree strong enough to bear fruit. Likewise, what appears to be stillness in your life is often divine preparation. The answers you seek, the breakthroughs you desire, and the dreams you hold are being woven together with perfect precision. Nothing is random. Every thread is intentional. Surrendering to divine timing does not mean giving up. It means trusting. It means releasing the need to control outcomes and accepting that the universe knows when and how to deliver what is truly meant for you. The human mind is impatient because it sees only a fragment of the whole picture. The divine mind, however, sees everything. The connections, the timing, the sequence that ensures your growth and fulfillment. What you call a delay is often divine protection or preparation. When you force what is not yet ready, you disrupt the harmony of creation. You may get what you want before you're prepared to sustain it, and it slips away. But when you allow things to unfold in their appointed time, they come with grace and endurance. Divine timing ensures that nothing is missing and nothing is out of place. Even what feels like loss or detour is part of a higher design leading you towards something greater. The shift you've been praying for is not postponed. It's being perfected. Every event is aligning like stars in the night sky, forming the constellation of your destiny. The relationships you need, the opportunities that match your vibration, the clarity that strengthens your purpose, they are all finding their way to you in divine sequence. When you surrender, you stop asking when and start saying thank you. Gratitude becomes your bridge between waiting and receiving. You rest in the knowing that life is always on time. The divine clock never fails, and its timing is always precise. So breathe. Release your anxious timelines. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The shift is not delayed, it is divinely orchestrated. Life is aligning in perfect order for your good, and when the appointed time arrives, what once felt impossible will unfold effortlessly before your eyes. There comes a sacred moment in life when everything you have endured begins to make sense, when the waiting, the heartbreak, the confusion, and the uncertainty reveal themselves not as punishment, but as preparation. Every delay, every detour, every seeming setback was never working against you. It was shaping you, refining you, aligning you with what is now arriving. The coming fulfillment is not a surprise. It is the inevitable outcome of divine orchestration that has been unfolding all along. You have walked through seasons that felt endless. You prayed, you believed, and still nothing seemed to move. But even in those silent moments, life was working for you. The universe was rearranging itself, removing what could not go with you, strengthening what needed to remain. It was calibrating your heart, your character, your energy to match the magnitude of what you were destined to receive. The waiting was not wasted. It was sacred preparation for the new reality that is now emerging. The challenges you faced were not random obstacles. They were divine instruments of alignment. Each struggle refined your faith. Each disappointment cleared away illusions. Each delay taught you to trust timing over urgency. You learned to release control, to surrender the need to know how, and to rest in the unseen certainty that something greater was being formed on your behalf. Without those seasons of testing, you would not have the strength, clarity, or depth of understanding that you now carry. Now the energy has shifted. What once resisted you is opening. What once felt impossible is unfolding. You are stepping into a time when everything begins to make sense, when the puzzle pieces that never seemed to fit suddenly align. Doors are opening not because you are chasing them, but because you have become the vibration that draws them in. The outer world is responding to the new consciousness you have cultivated through perseverance and faith. And the fulfillment you have been waiting for is not coming as something foreign or unexpected. It is rising from within you. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. The old patterns have dissolved, the old fears have lost their power, and the new version of you is now aligned with divine flow. That alignment is what makes manifestation inevitable. The universe must respond to who you have become. This is the moment where preparation meets purpose. The things that once fell apart were never lost. They were being rearranged into a higher form. The relationships that ended, the opportunities that closed, the seasons that tested you, all were guiding you toward this unfolding. Nothing was wasted. Every moment served the fulfillment that is now appearing. Now you must receive with confidence. Do not look back in regret or doubt. Trust that everything happened exactly as it needed to. The divine plan was never delayed. It was being perfected. The waiting was simply the time it took for your vibration to align with your vision. The shift is no longer coming, it is here. The winds of change are moving in your favor. Life is responding to your new frequency. Everything that belongs to you, peace, love, abundance, clarity, is finding its way home. What was once heavy will now move easily. What was once uncertain will now become undeniable. The coming fulfillment is here, and everything is about to work for you in ways you could never have imagined. Everything in your life has been leading to this divine moment. The invisible has moved, the inner world has aligned, and the outer world is now reflecting that alignment. What once felt uncertain has served its purpose, to awaken your awareness of your creative power and your connection to the divine order of life. Every challenge was shaping you. Every delay was preparing you. And now you stand at the threshold of fulfillment. The shift is not a distant promise, it is here. You are no longer waiting for life to happen. Life is responding to who you have become. The unseen forces have already conspired in your favor, and the evidence will begin to appear effortlessly. This is your season of divine unfolding, where everything starts to work for you, not against you. Walk forward with peace in your heart, faith in your vision, and gratitude for the journey that brought you here. The divine plan is perfect, and you are right on time. Sato, thanks. Thank you for being here, for believing, and for choosing to awaken to your divine power. May this message remind you that you are never forgotten, never behind, and never without guidance. Everything is aligning in your favor. Trust it, embrace it, and watch the miracle unfold. Thank you for listening, and may divine grace continue to guide your every step. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when asking must give way to thanking, when the heart, weary of striving, finally rests in the knowing that all is already provided. That moment, that sacred shift from desire to gratitude, is the instant heaven opens within you. Gratitude is not a polite gesture. It is divine recognition. It is the acknowledgement that you and God are not separate, that the very source you seek outside is already breathing within you. To say thank you with feeling is to announce to the universe, it is done. So tonight, let your prayer be a song of completion. Speak not as one in need, but as one who has received. Say within yourself, Father, I thank you for the health that is rising in me now. I thank you for the abundance flowing through every avenue of my life. I thank you for peace that passes understanding. I thank you for divine order unfolding in perfect timing. When you thank, you vibrate with the frequency of fulfillment. You become magnetized to every good thing that matches that feeling. The unseen responds not to your words, but to your state of being. Gratitude is that state, the vibration of I have received. The world may tell you to wait until you see the blessing before you give thanks. But the laws of spirit say, believe that you have received and you shall. Gratitude is the evidence of faith. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every thank you whispered in faith plants a seed in the garden of your future. And when you persist in that gratitude, not for what will come, but for what already is, the outer world must rearrange itself to reflect your inner knowing. Tonight, let your prayer be simple. Thank you, God, that all things are working for my good. Thank you that what I desire already exists within me. Thank you that your blessings overtake me now. Do not wait for proof. Feel it now. See it in imagination. Let your heart overflow with the joy of already having it. That feeling, that sacred, quiet ecstasy, is the true answer to prayer. Gratitude is not the end of prayer. It is its highest form. For when you live in thankfulness, you live as one who knows, and the one who knows cannot be denied. So as you rest tonight, breathe softly and say, thank you, Father. It is done, and it is. Gratitude is the language of answered prayer. It declares that what you ask for is already yours. When you give thanks, not for what you hope will come, but for what you know has already been granted in spirit, you align yourself with the divine law of fulfillment. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a declaration. It is the soul's way of saying, I have received, even before the evidence appears. When you understand this, you stop praying as one who lacks and begin to thank as one who possesses. The difference is everything. Most people wait until something happens before they say thank you. But true gratitude, the kind that moves mountains and shifts reality, is not based on appearances. It is born from faith, the inner conviction that the unseen is more real than what the eyes behold. Gratitude in this higher sense is an act of creation. It calls into being that which is yet to appear. It speaks to the invisible and commands it to take form. When you say thank you with deep feeling, you are not merely expressing emotion. You are imprinting a vibration upon the universe, one that matches the very thing you desire. The universe, or what some call divine consciousness, does not respond to need or desperation. It responds to faith, to the knowing that something already exists. When you are thankful in advance, you announce to the unseen realm that you have already received your blessing. And because every state of consciousness produces its own reflection, gratitude must bring forth the evidence of what it affirms. The one who is grateful lives from the end, not toward it. They do not plead for the light, they stand in it and say, "Thank you." Every time you offer genuine gratitude, you are tuning yourself to the frequency of completion. You are stepping into the reality where your desire is already fulfilled. You no longer send mixed signals of wanting and doubting. Instead, you emit the pure vibration of having. And the outer world, which is only a mirror, reflects back the state you embody within. Gratitude transforms your consciousness from separation to union, from striving to resting, from fear to faith. To live in gratitude is to live in answered prayer. It is to see through the veil of delay and recognize that everything you desire is already present, waiting for your acknowledgement. Gratitude is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen and the seen. The moment you truly feel thankful, you no longer ask, "When will it happen?" You simply rest in the knowing that it is. That feeling, that deep, silent assurance, is the sign that creation is complete. So give thanks now, not tomorrow, not when things look different, but now, in this very breath. Thank God not as a request, but as a realization. Say it as one who already possesses what they once desired. "Thank you, Father, it is done." And watch how life rearranges itself to mirror your gratitude. Because gratitude is the sound of answered prayer, echoing through the soul. To thank before receiving is to align with divine completion. It is to step out of the illusion of waiting and into the reality of already having. When you thank before the manifestation appears, you declare that the work is finished in the unseen. You stop approaching life as one who is lacking and instead take your rightful place as one who is complete in spirit. This act of thanksgiving before evidence is not foolishness, it is the highest wisdom. It recognizes that creation begins and ends in consciousness, and that what is real in imagination must one day reveal itself in form. To thank before receiving is to stand in faith rather than fear. Most people thank only after they see results, after the healing, after the breakthrough, after the door opens. But true gratitude operates differently. It looks beyond appearances and celebrates what is not yet visible because it knows that the unseen is the parent of the seen. When you give thanks ahead of time, you acknowledge that you have already received in the realm of cause. You accept that the outcome is inevitable. Gratitude, then, is not a response to a blessing, it is the seed of it. This is the secret of divine completion, the understanding that everything you could ever desire already exists in potential within you. The moment you feel sincere gratitude for it, you fuse yourself with that potential and call it into being. The feeling of thank you carries the vibration of fulfillment. It is the soul's way of saying, "I have arrived." You cannot thank for something and simultaneously believe you lack it. Gratitude and lack cannot coexist. So when you thank before receiving, you shift your entire state of consciousness. You move from waiting to having, from hoping to knowing, And because the outer world always mirrors the inner, the reflection of that state must appear in time. To align with divine completion is to rest in the assurance that there is no delay in the realm of spirit. All things are already finished. What we call time is merely the unfolding of what has already been accomplished in the invisible. Gratitude places you in harmony with that eternal truth. It tells the universe, I see it done, I feel it real, I celebrate its fulfillment now. That feeling of completion necessary for its visible expression. That feeling of completion attracts the very conditions necessary for its visible expression. Every great manifestation begins with inner thanksgiving. The one who knows the law does not wait for proof. They live in the proof now. They rehearse the joy, the relief, the peace of already having received. They walk, speak, and think from the end. Their heart whispers, thank you, not as a ritual, but as a realization. This is the attitude of divine rest, the awareness that you and your desire are already one. So let your gratitude go before you. Thank God before the evidence, before the change, before the visible sign. In doing so, you align yourself with the power that finishes all things perfectly. Say quietly within, thank you, Father, it is done. And soon what you thanked for in faith will stand before you in form, because thanksgiving before receiving is the master key to divine completion. Faith expressed through gratitude turns desire into manifestation. Gratitude is not merely an emotion, it is the evidence of faith made visible in feeling. When you give thanks, not as a reaction to what has appeared, but as a declaration of what is unseen, you unite your faith with the creative power of the divine. Desire on its own is the spark, faith is the flame, but gratitude is the fire that brings light into the world of form. It is gratitude that transforms the invisible longing of the heart into the visible reality of life. Every desire carries within it the seed of its fulfillment. The universe is already complete, lacking nothing, and everything that exists began first as an unseen possibility. When you desire something deeply, it means that life has chosen you to bring that potential into expression. But the desire itself does not create. It only calls your attention to what is waiting to be claimed. Faith is the act of claiming it, and when faith is expressed through gratitude, it becomes creative power in motion. Gratitude says, I know it is done. I am thankful for what already exists. That feeling seals the desire in consciousness, and consciousness is the womb of all creation. To thank before receiving is to live from the end, not toward it. You are no longer the one who wants, you are the one who has. You begin to speak, think, and feel from fulfillment rather than lack. This shift in state is what turns faith into form. The outer world does not respond to words or rituals, it responds to the vibration you hold within. Gratitude radiates the energy of completion, and the universe must mirror it. What you feel with conviction must show itself in time, for all form is the shadow of inner belief. When you practice gratitude as an expression of faith, you are no longer begging for what you want. You are celebrating what has already been given. You stop pleading and start praising. You move from striving to resting, from fear to assurance. That calm thankfulness is the surest sign that manifestation is near, because you have released the resistance that once held your desire away. You have accepted your blessing in spirit, and now it must appear in matter. Gratitude is also the purifier of faith. It removes doubt, fear, and impatience by focusing your attention on the good that already exists. The thankful heart cannot dwell on what is missing. It dwells only on what is whole. And what you dwell upon expands. By staying in gratitude, you magnify the energy of fulfillment, and what was once a desire becomes an inevitable reality. So if you wish to see your dreams take form, express your faith through gratitude. Wake each day and thank God as if every promise is already fulfilled. Feel it done. Speak from it. Live from it. Gratitude is faith in action, and faith in action is creation. When the two are joined, nothing can remain unseen. For faith expressed through gratitude is the divine alchemy that turns desire into manifestation. Every thank you is a seed planted in the unseen that must bloom in the seen. Gratitude is not a mere gesture or polite expression. It is a spiritual act of creation. When you say thank you with genuine feeling, you are sowing a thought into the fertile soil of the unseen world. That invisible realm is the womb of all manifestation. It receives every seed of belief, nurtures it in silence, and eventually brings it forth into visible form. Just as a farmer trusts that the seed will sprout when the season is right, so must we trust that every sincere word of gratitude carries within it the power to manifest what it affirms. To understand this, one must recognize that thoughts and feelings are creative forces. The universe responds not to idle words, but to the emotional vibration behind them. A thank you uttered without belief is a dry seed. It bears no life. But a thank you spoken with faith and awareness is alive with divine energy. It vibrates with the frequency of fulfillment. It says, I already possess that which I seek, and the unseen responds faithfully to that vibration, orchestrating circumstances, people, and opportunities to bring it into physical expression. Every thank you is a declaration of trust. It says, I know the soil is rich. I know the process is sure. I know the harvest will come. This kind of gratitude does not wait for proof. It creates it. The invisible response to feeling, and feeling thankful is the surest way to open the door to visible blessings. When you plant the seed of gratitude, it may not sprout immediately, but the process has already begun. Beneath the surface, the forces of life are working, rearranging, aligning, and preparing the way. Just because you cannot see the roots forming does not mean the seed is inactive. In time, what was hidden will break through into the light. This is why gratitude must be consistent. A farmer does not dig up the seed to check if it is growing. He waters it daily, trusting the unseen process. Likewise, when you continually give thanks, even in moments when nothing seems to be changing, you are watering your spiritual seeds. Your thank you becomes your proof of faith. You are saying, I will not look to appearances for reassurance. I will look within, where the harvest is already complete. Eventually, the outer world must yield to the truth of your inner state. The flowers of manifestation bloom exactly in the likeness of the seeds planted. If your words of gratitude are genuine, rooted in faith rather than formality, they cannot return void. The unseen always makes visible what is deeply believed. So let every thank you speak be intentional, alive with faith, radiant with joy. Give thanks for what you desire, as though it is already done, for in truth it is. Each thank you is a command to creation, a decree to the universe. Bring forth that which is already mine. And when the time is ripe, the unseen will blossom into the seen, and you will stand among the harvest of your gratitude, knowing that every blessing began as a single whispered thank you. When you feel grateful, you are no longer waiting, you are receiving. Gratitude is not a passive emotion, it is the energy of fulfillment. The moment you genuinely feel thankful, you step out of the vibration of lack and into the state of possession. You cease to look toward the future for what you want, because gratitude anchors you in the reality that it is already here. The thankful heart does not chase, it attracts. It does not plead, it receives. Gratitude is the bridge that moves you from hoping to having, from desiring to embodying, from waiting to welcoming. When you are waiting, you are subtly affirming separation, the belief that your desire is apart from you, somewhere out there in time or space. Waiting carries within it the feeling of not yet, but the universe mirrors feeling, not words. As long as you wait, you postpone. The moment you feel gratitude, however, you collapse that distance. You enter the frequency where the thing desired already exists. You become one with the reality you seek. And that oneness is what brings it forth into form. Gratitude dissolves the illusion of delay, because in truth there is no delay in the spiritual realm, only recognition or resistance. Feeling grateful is a declaration that the good you desire is already yours in essence. You may not yet hold it in your hands, but you hold it in consciousness, and consciousness is the birthplace of all creation. Every visible thing first existed as an unseen idea clothed in belief. Gratitude clothes your desire in the garment of completion. When you feel thankful, you send out the signal that the work is done, and life responds accordingly. You are no longer a seeker, but a receiver. You no longer live in the tension of when or how, because gratitude has already answered both with one sacred truth. Now. The one who waits lives in expectation. The one who feels grateful lives in realization. There is peace in this shift. Gratitude relaxes the mind, quiets the doubt, and opens the heart to divine flow. In that flow, you begin to notice small evidences of your answered prayer. Coincidences, inspirations, open doors, all whispering that what you have claimed in spirit is unfolding in matter. The feeling of receiving draws more to receive, for gratitude multiplies whatever it touches. When you live in gratitude, you move through life as one who already owns every blessing. You radiate joy instead of yearning, trust instead of tension, faith instead of fear. The universe, in turn, mirrors that state by surrounding you with experiences that match it. You begin to see that your gratitude was not merely a reaction to good things, but the very cause of them. So feel grateful now, not tomorrow, not when it happens, but now. For the moment you truly feel it, you have already received. Gratitude ends waiting because it lives in the eternal present, where all things are complete. It is not the proof that follows manifestation, it is the power that brings it forth. True prayer is not begging, it is thanksgiving in advance for what already exists in spirit. To beg is to assume that what you desire is absent, that God must be persuaded, circumstances must change, or something must arrive from outside to make you whole. But to give thanks in advance is to know that nothing is missing, that all you could ever ask for already exists within the unseen dimension of spirit. True prayer begins not with lack, but with recognition. recognition that creation is finished, and that what you seek has already been prepared for you from the beginning. When you pray as one who begs, you vibrate with the energy of separation. You speak as though the divine is far away, as though you and your desire are divided by time, distance, or worthiness. This form of prayer carries hidden doubt, and doubt delays manifestation because it affirms absence. But when you pray with thanksgiving, you reverse this energy. You declare unity with the divine and with your desire. Gratitude in prayer is the language of completion. It says, Father, I thank you that you have already heard me. This was the secret of all great demonstrations of faith. They were grounded in thanksgiving before the evidence appeared. When you give thanks in advance, you are acknowledging the eternal truth that everything first exists in spirit before it appears in form. Spirit is the substance of all things. To thank for something before it manifests is to accept that it is already real in that higher realm. You are no longer asking for creation, you are aligning with completion. That inner alignment, that feeling of already having received, is what draws the invisible into visibility. The universe mirrors states of consciousness, and the state of gratitude is the state of fulfillment. True prayer then is not words but awareness. It is not pleading with God but communing with Him. It is the quiet inner knowing that says, it is done. The heart that prays this way does not strain or struggle. It rests. It rests in the faith that what exists in spirit must appear in matter, just as surely as a seed planted in fertile soil must sprout when the season arrives. Gratitude is that planting. It is the gesture of confidence that the unseen process is already underway. When you replace begging with thanksgiving, your entire relationship with prayer transforms. You no longer speak from need, but from knowing. You no longer wait for proof, because your thanksgiving is the proof, the living evidence of belief. You become a partner in creation rather than a petitioner of it. And as your heart remains steadfast in this gratitude, the outer world must rearrange itself to reflect the reality you have already accepted within. So let your prayers be filled with thanksgiving. Thank before you see, praise before you touch, rejoice before it unfolds. For true prayer does not ask, it acknowledges. It does not strive, it celebrates. It does not reach, it receives. The one who gives thanks in advance lives in the consciousness of already having. And in that consciousness, miracles become natural, for what already exists in spirit must eventually take form. When you understand the sacred power of gratitude, prayer is no longer a struggle. It becomes a song of fulfillment. Gratitude is the bridge between desire and manifestation, the invisible thread that ties you to every blessing waiting to unfold. Each thank you is a seed, each feeling of appreciation, a silent command to the universe that says, it is already mine. When you live from that awareness, life begins to respond differently. What once felt distant begins to draw near. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. To thank before receiving is to live in divine alignment. It is to walk in faith, speak from assurance, and rest in the knowing that all things are already complete in spirit. Gratitude ends waiting because it opens the door to receiving. It is the language of answered prayer, the vibration of fulfillment, and the atmosphere of miracles. So let your heart overflow with thankfulness, not because you are waiting for something to happen, but because you know it already has. Every breath, every step, every moment is proof of divine generosity. You are surrounded by grace, upheld by love, and guided by unseen order. As you close this message, take a deep breath and whisper quietly within, "Thank you, Father. It is done. It has always been done." There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the invisible hand of the divine begins to move in silence. You may not see it yet, but something is shifting in the unseen. The current of life is turning in your favor. Everything is about to change, not by chance, not by luck, but because your inner world has reached a point of readiness. The world outside of you is a mirror, reflecting the story you hold within. The moment your inner story changes, the moment you dare to believe that you are already blessed, already abundant, already chosen, reality begins to bend around that new conviction. Conviction. You see, change never starts out there. It begins in the quiet sanctuary of your imagination. Every desire you hold is already finished in the unseen. It's not being created, it is created, waiting for you to assume it, to feel it, to claim it as yours. So when I say everything is about to change, I mean that the unseen is pressing to be seen. The invisible is about to take form. The things you've prayed for are standing at the door, asking only one thing. Are you ready to receive? Readiness is not about effort. It's about alignment. It's about walking as if it's already done, thinking from the fulfillment, not toward it. Speak from the end, feel from the end, live from the end, and the end will appear. There is a divine law that governs all creation. What you assume to be true becomes your world. So assume the best. Assume that every obstacle was only preparation. Assume that everything that left was clearing space for what's coming. Assume that life is not against you, but working for you. You've been asking. You've been waiting. Now it's time to receive. The universe has already said yes. It's your turn to agree. Let this be the moment where faith replaces fear, where expectancy replaces doubt, where gratitude replaces longing. Everything is aligning. The people, the opportunities, the timing. What was once delayed is now divinely arranged. What seemed impossible is about to unfold effortlessly. Everything is. So lift your head, speak the words of power, feel the joy before the evidence, because everything, yes, everything is about to change. And when it does, you realize it was never the world that shifted, it was you. Change does not begin with action, it begins in consciousness. Before a single thing moves in your outer world, a quiet revolution takes place within. Every event, every opportunity, every breakthrough that will one day appear in your life has its origin in the unseen realm of thought, feeling, and imagination. What we call reality is only the echo of our inner state. When you understand this, you realize that the true work of transformation is not done with your hands, but with your mind. Everything you desire is already shifting in the unseen realm. The moment you imagine it, the moment you feel it as real, a seed is planted in the invisible field of creation. It begins to grow, not where you can see it, but where you can sense it. In that inner atmosphere of belief, your emotions water that seed, your assumptions give it life, and your faith keeps it alive. even when the outer world has yet to show any sign of change. There is a divine law that governs all manifestation. The inner world precedes the outer. Whatever you hold in sustained consciousness, whether love or fear, abundance or lack, must eventually find expression in your lived experience. This is not superstition or wishful thinking. It is spiritual cause and effect. The invisible always moves before the visible. The root always forms before the fruit. Most people look to the external for evidence of change. They say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But that very belief holds them prisoner to the old state. True transformation requires the opposite approach. I'll see it when I believe it. When you shift your consciousness, you shift your world. The change may not come instantly, but it comes inevitably. The outer must conform to the inner, because the inner is the source. Imagine then that every thought you entertain, every feeling you dwell upon, is shaping a version of your reality that is waiting to unfold. You are never waiting for change to happen. You are allowing change to become visible. In the unseen, everything is already rearranging itself on your behalf. Doors are being prepared to open, people are being positioned, circumstances are being woven together in perfect alignment with the vibration you are holding right now. So if you want something to change, begin within. Change the way you see yourself. Change the assumptions you carry about life. Replace worry with faith, doubt with certainty, fear with love. When your inner atmosphere rises, the outer world cannot help but follow. This is the mystery of creation, that unseen thoughts become tangible things, that invisible emotions become visible events. You are not powerless in this process. You are the cause of it. Every shift in consciousness sets off a chain of divine movements in your favor. The unseen realm responds instantly, even if the evidence takes time to appear. So trust what you cannot yet see. Feel the reality of your desire as if it already exists, because in truth it does. The unseen is alive, moving, reshaping itself according to your inner state. Change begins in consciousness, and the moment you change within, everything you desire begins its journey toward you. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your inner assumptions. Every circumstance, every person, every event that shows up in your life is a projection of the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. Life does not happen to you, it happens through you. The thoughts you think, the emotions you nurture, the beliefs you hold as true, these form the lens through which you perceive reality, and that perception becomes the very experience you live. You are not meeting the world as it is, you are meeting the world as you are. Your inner state determines what you attract, how you interpret situations, and what outcomes manifest. If you live from fear, you will see reasons to be afraid. If you live from love, you will witness kindness and opportunity everywhere. The mirror never lies, it only reflects. When you understand this, you stop blaming circumstances and start transforming consciousness. Everything. Your assumption is your creative power. To assume means to take something as true, even before there is visible evidence of it. When you assume success, even while facing setbacks, your mind begins to generate ideas, confidence, and energy that align with success. When you assume you are loved and chosen, you unconsciously act from that state. You radiate worthiness, and life mirrors that back through people and experiences that confirm it. The world is an obedient servant of your dominant state. Everything you encounter is a reflection of your current vibration, not your wishes or words alone. You cannot fake your inner state. Life responds to the vibration behind your words, not the words themselves. You may say you want abundance, but if you carry an inner assumption of lack, your experiences will mirror scarcity. Conversely, if you assume abundance, even in the midst of temporary limitation, often in ways you could never have logically planned. When you change your state of being, life rearranges itself to match it. This is not magic, it is law. The moment you shift your inner feeling from despair to expectancy, from doubt to certainty, from fear to trust, the frequency of your consciousness changes. That new vibration sends out a signal to the universe, and everything begins to reorganize to reflect your new state. People who once ignored you start to notice you. Situations that seemed closed suddenly open. The same world that once seemed hostile now becomes harmonious. The transformation is never in the external, it is always internal first. When you try to change outer conditions without addressing your inner assumptions, the results are temporary. But when you shift your inner being, everything outside must follow. The mirror cannot help but reflect what stands before it. So ask yourself not why is life like this, but what am I assuming to be true right now? Because the assumption you hold about yourself, about others, about the world is painting the scene of your life. Change the assumption and the reflection changes with it. Enter a state of gratitude and more will come to be grateful for. Enter a state of love and life will surround you with beauty. The outer world cannot resist your inner conviction. It must obey it. And when you learn to live consciously from a higher state, you will discover that reality itself is pliable, waiting patiently to reflect the truth you choose to believe. You are not waiting for blessings. Blessings are waiting for your readiness. Every good thing you have ever desired already exists in potential form, vibrating in the unseen, waiting for your consciousness to rise to meet it. Life is not withholding anything from you. It is always responding to you. The delay you perceive is never in the giving, but in the receiving. The universe does not need time to create what you desire. It only waits for you to align with the belief that it is already yours. Readiness is not about effort or struggle. It is about alignment. It is a state of being where your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs harmonize with what you wish to experience. When you are ready within, the outer world begins to shift automatically. Doors open, opportunities appear, people arrive at the right moment. What once seemed far away begins to approach with ease. It's not coincidence, it's correspondence. Blessings cannot enter a heart filled with fear, doubt, or unworthiness. They are not withheld as punishment, but because your inner state cannot yet hold them. You cannot receive what you do not believe belongs to you. Readiness is the silent acceptance that says, I am worthy, I am chosen, I am capable of having this. The moment that truth becomes natural to you, the blessing that has been circling your life finally finds a place to land. So many people are waiting for a sign, for a miracle, for evidence that their desire is coming. But signs do not precede faith. Faith precedes signs. The universe mirrors your conviction, not your wish. The moment you align with belief, what you seek begins to move toward you. Everything starts shifting behind the scenes. People you have never met begin making decisions that will bless your life. Circumstances start aligning, delays dissolve, What once felt impossible begins to flow naturally. It is not the belief itself that moves mountains. It is the energy that belief awakens within you. When you truly believe, you stop begging, chasing, and doubting. You start walking, speaking, and thinking as if the blessing is already yours. That shift in energy is what creation responds to. You become magnetic to the very thing you once pursued. The universe is precise. It does not deliver according to your words, it delivers according to your vibration. The blessing that belongs to you is never lost. It's simply waiting for the frequency of your readiness. When you rise in faith, your reality rises with you. When you align with gratitude, what you desire accelerates toward you. So if you've been waiting for change, stop waiting. Start aligning. Blessings are not coming someday. They are already here, pressing to be received. Prepare your heart to hold them. Clear the space within by releasing fear and doubt. Believe that what you seek is seeking you. When you finally feel that truth deeply enough, you'll realize that blessings were never late. You are simply being prepared to receive what has always been yours. Imagination is the divine instrument of creation. It is the sacred bridge between the unseen and the seen, the invisible power through which all realities are formed. Every structure, every invention, every great idea that has ever appeared in the world began first as an image in someone's imagination. What you can hold within your inner vision, you can eventually hold in your hands. Imagination is not fantasy, it is creation in its purest state. When you close your eyes and see yourself living the life you desire, you are not daydreaming. You are participating in the very act by which worlds are made. The unseen realm is where the blueprint of your destiny is drawn, and imagination is the divine tool that sketches the design. To imagine is to claim, to assume, and to give shape to the formless. The moment you imagine something with feeling, you set the creative process into motion. But imagination alone is not enough. It must be accompanied by emotion, by the feeling of already having what you desire. Feeling is the secret that breathes life into your vision. When you feel the reality of what you desire as if it's already done, you impress that image upon the deeper layers of your mind, and the subconscious begins to act as though it were true. It rearranges your world, aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities to bring your inner vision into physical form. This is why you must train your imagination to dwell on what you desire, not what you fear. Most people unconsciously use their imagination against themselves, picturing worst-case scenarios, reliving pain, expecting disappointment. Then they are surprised when those very outcomes appear. They forget that imagination does not discriminate between good or bad, wanted or unwanted. It simply creates according to what you hold most vividly within. To imagine correctly is to live inwardly from the end, not toward it. It means closing your eyes and feeling the joy, peace, and fulfillment of already being the person who has received their desire. Do not merely visualize it, enter it. Step into that inner scene with all your senses alive. Hear the words of congratulations. Feel the emotions of gratitude. See the details around you. When you dwell in that state long enough, it becomes more real to you than the physical evidence of its absence. And here lies the mystery. When the inner becomes more real than the outer must transform to match it. The world is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the contents of imagination. If you persist in seeing and feeling yourself as already successful, already loved, already abundant, the outer world will eventually echo that vision. Imagination is the womb of reality. Everything begins there and nothing exists without first being imagined. So dare to use it boldly, intentionally, and with reverence. Feel your desire as fulfilled, and life will conspire to make it so. For the divine lives in your imagination, and through it you shape the very world you walk through. And so no further, Bridget, Benedict Thrasby. Imagine. Through faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the invisible connection that links your desire, which exists in the realm of spirit, to its eventual expression in the physical world. Everything you can see began first as something unseen, an idea, a belief, a vision held in faith. Faith is not mere hope or positive thinking. It is the unwavering conviction that what you desire is already real, even when no physical evidence supports it. It is the quiet confidence that knows creation is complete in the invisible long before it becomes visible. The unseen is not unreal, it is simply invisible until believed. The invisible world is teeming with possibilities, waiting for the signal of your faith to bring them into form. What you call the unseen is not empty space. It is the spiritual dimension where all creation begins. Just because your senses cannot yet perceive it does not mean it does not exist. Electricity was unseen before it was discovered. Sound waves were unseen before they were measured. Likewise, your answered prayer already exists, waiting for your faith to draw it into visibility. And faith is the key that unlocks that invisible storehouse. When you believe something to be true, even without evidence, you activate the divine law of manifestation. Faith transforms imagination into experience. It turns potential into presence. It is the spiritual substance that gives shape to your unseen desires. You do not need to see the whole path. You only need to take the first step in belief. Once you do, life begins to align itself with your conviction. Most people wait for proof before they believe. They say, I'll have faith when I see results. But that is not faith. That is observation. Faith precedes sight. It is believing before seeing, trusting before receiving, knowing before proof appears. The moment you shift from doubt to faith, you cross the bridge between possibility and reality. The unseen begins to crystallize into the seen. Faith is also a vibration, a frequency of certainty that radiates from within you. When you hold faith, your entire being emits a signal that says, it is done. That signal moves into the unseen, drawing to you the people, opportunities, and circumstances that match your belief. You may not notice it immediately, but the rearrangement begins the instant your faith becomes stronger than your fear. To live by faith is to walk in partnership with the unseen. It is to rest in the knowing that what you have imagined, what you have prayed for, is already accomplished in spirit. You don't need to force it. You only need to remain faithful to the inner vision until it takes form. Faith does not make things easier, it makes them inevitable. It bypasses logic and goes straight to divine law. The unseen is not some distant mystical realm. It is the source of everything you will ever experience. When you believe in what you cannot yet see, you grant it permission to appear. So hold your faith steady, Let your inner conviction be stronger than the appearance of delay. For what you believe in faith today will soon become what you see tomorrow. Divine timing is not delay, it's perfect orchestration. What you call waiting is often the universe arranging the perfect sequence of events, people, and circumstances to fulfill your desire in the most harmonious way possible. The human mind, confined by time and logic, interprets pauses as setbacks. But to the divine, there are no delays, only precision. Every pause has purpose. Every detour is direction. Every apparent stillness is preparation for the unfolding that is already in motion. When you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to check its progress. You trust the process, knowing that life is working underground, invisible to your eyes, but active nonetheless. The same principle governs divine timing. The unseen realm is never idle. It is constantly orchestrating, aligning details and weaving connections that your conscious mind cannot yet see. While you think nothing is happening, everything is happening, just not in a way that is visible from where you stand. Your logical mind seeks control. It wants to know when, how, and through whom your desire will appear. But divine orchestration operates beyond human reasoning. It sees the entire picture, past, present, and future, and aligns all pieces with precision. Sometimes the delay you resist is actually divine protection. Sometimes the waiting you despise is grace giving you time to become the person capable of holding the blessing you've asked for. The truth is, you are never waiting for the universe. The universe is waiting for your readiness, your full alignment in faith, gratitude, and trust. When you surrender your need to control and rest in divine timing, peace replaces anxiety. You begin to understand that what's meant for you can never be lost, and what seems delayed is only being perfected. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every unexpected turn is a thread in the larger design that leads you exactly where you're meant to be. Divine timing is not random. It's rhythmic. It beats to the pulse of your spiritual growth. When your vibration rises, when your consciousness expands, what you've been asking for meets you effortlessly. That's why forcing outcomes rarely works. You cannot rush what is being orchestrated on multiple levels of reality. What you can do is stay in faith, keep your inner state aligned, and trust that unseen forces are arranging everything in your favor. Often, when the manifestation finally appears, you look back and realize that it arrived at the exact moment you were truly ready. Not a second before, not a second after. The divine plan is flawless, even when it feels uncertain. So breathe. Release the need to control the timing. The very thing you think is being delayed is being divinely arranged. Life is not making you wait, it's positioning you for the perfect unfolding. The orchestration is already happening in silence, and when it arrives, you will understand that every waiting season was sacred preparation for the miracle that could only come right on time. Everything you desire, every shift, every blessing, every answered prayer is already unfolding in ways beyond your comprehension. Change begins the moment you change within. The world outside you is only a mirror, reflecting your faith, your imagination, and your readiness to receive. You are not waiting for life to move. Life is waiting for your alignment, your belief, your surrender to divine timing. So stand firm in faith. Dare to feel your desires as already fulfilled. Walk as if everything is already working for you, because it is. Trust the unseen. The orchestration is perfect, the timing is divine, and the outcome is certain. Everything is about to change. And when it does, you will see that it was never luck, never coincidence. It was the power within you awakening to its true nature. Say thanks. Thank you for listening, for believing, and for allowing these words to awaken something greater within you. Your time has come. Stay open, stay faithful, and get ready to receive it all. The air is different. You can feel it even if you can't explain it. Something unseen is rearranging everything around you. The tides that once pulled against you are beginning to move in your direction. The storm that once felt endless is clearing, revealing a sunrise you once only imagined. Everything is about to shift in your favor, not by accident, but by divine orchestration. What's been working behind the curtain of your life is now stepping onto the stage. What was delayed was not denied. It was designed. Designed to make you stronger, deeper, wiser, and fully aligned with the life you've been envisioning. Every prayer, every tear, every act of faith has been building unseen momentum. The invisible has been preparing to become visible. But here's the key. You must stay ready. Readiness is not about waiting nervously. It is about living expectantly. It is about walking as if it's already yours, speaking as if it's already done, and thanking life for what's unfolding even before it arrives. When you stay ready, you're not surprised by the blessing, you are synchronized with it. Reality bends to the state you occupy within. When you choose faith over fear, gratitude over doubt, and peace over panic, you move into alignment with the good that has been waiting for you. The shift does not begin out there, it begins in here, within the consciousness that knows it's already done. Every situation that looked like loss was secretly an adjustment. Every person who left made room for what was meant to stay. Every door that closed redirected you toward one that would open effortlessly. This is not coincidence. It is divine precision. You are stepping into a season where the timing of everything will finally make sense. So hold your inner posture. Stand firm in your unseen knowing. Your manifestation is not coming to you, it's coming through you. You are the channel through which your higher vision becomes physical. The outer shift is the echo of your inner assumption. When you hold the image and feel its reality now, the world must reorganize itself to reflect it. There will be moments when your faith feels stretched, when nothing seems to move, and when silence feels louder than guidance. But remember this, silence is not absence, it is preparation. The soil is quiet before it blooms. The dawn is still before it breaks. Right now, everything is aligning in perfect order. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you haven't entered yet. Opportunities are forming around conversations you haven't heard. Life is making room for your expansion. So, don't lower your expectation, elevate your preparation. The shift is not something you wait for, it's something you embody. Step into the vibration of what you desire. Feel it, live it, expect it. Let your imagination become the rehearsal of your destiny. Because when you live as if it's already done, the universe must obey the conviction of your inner state. Everything is about to shift in your favor, and when it does, It won't be gradual. It will be sudden. Doors will swing open, clarity will rush in, and peace will replace confusion. But it will not come as a surprise to the one who stayed ready. So stay steady, stay faithful, stay ready, because the shift you've been sensing isn't coming, it's here. The unseen is already forming the scene. Your outer world is catching up with your inner assumption. Everything you imagine, feel, and believe within yourself is shaping the reality you are stepping into. The world you experience with your senses is only a reflection, a mirror of the thoughts and assumptions you persistently hold. Nothing appears out of nowhere. Everything begins as an invisible seed in consciousness. The unseen is not distant or mysterious. It is the creative foundation of all that exists. Before the physical form arrives, it must first be conceived in the inner realm of awareness. When you change the image you hold within, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match it. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are conscious of being. Every assumption becomes a cause, and every experience becomes its effect. When you persist in a new state of being, when you assume that you already are, already have, already live the life you desire, the universe begins to respond to that inner frequency. People, circumstances, and opportunities start to move in ways that align with your inner conviction. What seems like chance is really divine coordination, following the blueprint of your belief. This is why imagination is sacred. It is not daydreaming, it is creation in motion. When you visualize something with emotion and certainty, you are instructing the unseen forces of life to mold themselves into form. The inner act becomes the outer fact. Your job is not to force outcomes or chase results. It is to sustain the feeling of the wish fulfilled until the outer world mirrors it. That is the true work, maintaining the inner assumption even when the evidence around you seems unchanged. The visible world often lags behind the invisible one. There is a divine delay, not as punishment, but as process. The unseen is always ahead of what you can perceive. Like a seed growing beneath the soil, the evidence of your assumption is developing in silence. You may not see it yet, but life is already arranging itself according to your belief. The people you need are being positioned. The opportunities you prayed for are being constructed. The path is being cleared even while you wait. So hold your faith. Continue to dwell in the reality of your fulfilled desire. Feel it real now. Speak from it, not about it. Act as if the unseen is more real than the seen, because it is. The moment you accept the truth of your inner state, the world begins to obey it. There is nothing outside of you that has power over what you hold within. The seen is only the shadow of the unseen, and the shadow must follow the light of your assumption. Your outer world is catching up. Every event, every encounter, every change you notice is the unfolding of the invisible design you already set in motion. Stay faithful to your vision, and soon what you once imagined will stand before you as undeniable reality. Faith is the bridge between where you are and what you have imagined. It is the invisible pathway that connects the unseen world of desire with the seen world of manifestation. Faith does not need evidence to begin. It creates the evidence as it moves forward. It is the silent conviction that what you have seen in your imagination is already yours, even before it takes physical shape. Faith lives in the realm of knowing, not hoping. It does not wait for proof. It stands on inner certainty that the unseen is more real than the seen. Every great transformation begins with faith. not in circumstances, but in the unseen potential within you. Faith allows you to step forward even when nothing around you suggests progress. It allows you to speak as if it's done, while everything around you looks incomplete. It holds you steady between the conception of your vision and its realization. Where logic ends, faith begins. It is the bridge you walk when there seems to be no path at all. When you hold a vision in your heart, something higher, brighter, and beyond your current experience, faith becomes the power that keeps you aligned with that vision. It silences doubt, dismantles fear, and refuses to accept temporary appearances as final truths. Faith whispers, "It's already done," when the world shouts, "It's impossible." It is not blind, it sees beyond, it perceives what cannot yet be seen, because it knows creation begins in the unseen. The moment you imagine something with feeling, you have already conceived it in consciousness. Faith is what sustains that conception until birth. It nurtures the seed of your desire while it's still underground. Without faith, you dig up the seed too soon, looking for proof, and the growth process is interrupted. But with faith, you trust the unseen stages, the moments of silence, the seasons of waiting, the apparent stillness that hides unseen progress. Faith transforms the waiting room into sacred preparation. It teaches you that manifestation is not about forcing life, but about trusting the divine order already at work. The bridge of faith is not crossed by sight, but by assumption. Each thought aligned with your vision moves you forward across that bridge. Each act of gratitude, each moment of belief strengthens your steps until what was once only imagined becomes inevitable. Even in the face of contradiction, faith holds the picture steady. It says, "Though I do not see it yet, I know it is done." And because your world must mirror your dominant inner state, that knowing becomes law. Soon what you believed in faith must appear in form. So when doubt whispers that nothing is changing, remember the bridge you're walking on. Every step of faith carries you closer to your imagined end. The invisible is already taking shape around you. The distance between where you are and what you've imagined is not measured in time, but in trust. Faith shortens that distance until the bridge disappears, because what you believed has finally become what you live. Every delay is divine alignment, not denial. Life does not withhold what is meant for you. It prepares you to receive it in fullness. The pauses, the waiting, the moments that feel like nothing is happening, these are not signs of abandonment, but of orchestration. There is a rhythm to manifestation, a sacred timing in which everything is positioned perfectly. What seems like a delay in your timeline is precision in the divine design. When doors don't open immediately, it is not because you are unworthy or forgotten. It is because what awaits you requires alignment. Your mindset, your energy, your readiness, your surroundings, all must match the vibration of what you've asked for. A blessing received too soon can become a burden. Life, in its wisdom, never gives before you are able to sustain. The waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. You are being shaped for what you've been shown. There are unseen movements happening behind the stillness. People you haven't met are being positioned. Opportunities are being formed. Paths are being cleared. What you perceive as delay is often the rearranging of infinite details to deliver the promise in its perfect form. The universe never rushes, yet it is never late. Everything unfolds in divine sequence, even when the human mind cannot comprehend the timing. If you could see the full picture, you would understand that the pauses are acts of mercy. They protect you from what is premature and align you with what is mature. Sometimes the delay allows old versions of you to dissolve. The fearful self, the impatient self, the doubtful self. For the new to arrive, the old must pass. The delay gives you the space to evolve into the version of yourself that can hold the blessing with wisdom, not desperation. Yet the delay, every unanswered prayer is not a rejection, it is a redirection. Life is saying, not yet, something better, something truer, something aligned is forming. When you learn to rest in this awareness, peace replaces frustration. You no longer chase what is meant for you, you align with it. You stop fighting time and start flowing with divine ardor. The second is life has divinity. Divinity is the first. Life has divinity is the first. Life has divinity. Trust that nothing is being withheld. The current stillness is the breath before manifestation. Just as the dawn does not rush to rise, your manifestation unfolds with precision. The right moment carries a power the wrong moment never could. What's meant for you is being refined in unseen realms, and when the time comes, it will enter effortlessly. So instead of asking, why is it taking so long, begin to ask, what is life aligning in me? Use the waiting to strengthen faith, deepen gratitude, and release resistance. Because when the alignment is complete, what once felt delayed will arrive suddenly, and you will see that it was never denial at all, only divine timing delivering perfection right on schedule. Your new reality is not coming, it's being revealed through your readiness. Everything you desire already exists in potential form. The moment you imagined it, it was created in the unseen. Life does not withhold, it responds. What determines how quickly your new reality becomes visible is not chance, but readiness. The inner harmony between who you are being and what you have asked for. When your inner state matches your desired state, the unseen becomes seen. Manifestation is never about waiting for something to arrive. It's about awakening to what's already here, waiting for your awareness to align with it. Readiness is not about effort or struggle. It's about alignment. It is the calm recognition that you are already one with your desire. The new reality doesn't rush toward you. You rise into it by embodying its frequency. The door was never locked. It only required the right vibration to open. The moment you feel worthy, grateful, and expectant, the reality that matches that feeling begins to unfold before your eyes. You don't need to force the shift. You need to become the version of yourself who naturally lives it. Your readiness is measured not by what you say you want, but by what you believe and expect. If deep within you there is still doubt, fear, or a sense of lack, the new reality remains veiled, not because it's absent, but because your current vibration cannot perceive it. Just as a radio must be tuned to the right frequency to receive the signal, your consciousness must align with the vibration of what you've imagined. Once tuned correctly, the new reality is not created, it is revealed. Life mirrors your readiness through the opportunities, people, and experiences it brings. When you elevate your consciousness, everything that aligns with your higher state begins to appear naturally. The outer world simply reflects the inner change. That is why transformation often feels subtle before it becomes visible. The energy shifts first, then form follows. Your new reality does not break in. It unfolds gently through the space your readiness creates. The most powerful way to prepare for what you desire is to live as though it is already here. Feel the joy now. Speak the gratitude now. Walk with the assurance that it's already done. When you act and feel from that end state, you signal to life that you are ready. Readiness is a language the universe understands perfectly. It tells creation, I am prepared to receive. So stop waiting and start becoming. The future you're longing for is not distant, it's waiting in the folds of your awareness. The moment you shift from longing to knowing, from hoping to being, from asking to receiving, the veil lifts. What you once chased begins to meet you with ease. Your new reality isn't on its way, it's right here, revealing itself through the readiness of your belief. You shift the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Transformation is not a gradual process of outer change. It is an instant inner decision. The moment you emotionally occupy the state of your desired reality, your consciousness moves, and the outer world begins to rearrange itself to reflect that movement. Reality bends to the feeling you hold most persistently. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer asking, hoping, or waiting. You are claiming. You step into the vibration of already having, already being, already living what you once desired, and that inner assumption becomes the creative law that governs your world. Everything begins with the state of consciousness. You do not receive what you want, you receive what you are aware of being. The outer world is nothing but a mirror showing you who you believe yourself to be. When you shift your awareness, when you say inwardly, I am already there, I already have it, I already am it, you set a new cause in motion. Life has no choice but to mirror that assumption back to you. Through people, events, and circumstance. This is the silent power of inner feeling. It is creation in motion. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not fantasy. It is faith made real within. It's the deep knowing that your desire is complete, even when the senses show no evidence of it. You no longer seek or strive. You rest in certainty. That certainty becomes a magnet that draws the unseen into visibility. What you continue to feel real must eventually take shape, because consciousness is the only creative power there is. In the unquantum level, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to live from the end. It means your thoughts, emotions, and actions now flow from a place of completion, not lack. You don't look at the world wondering when your dream will appear. You move as though it already has. Gratitude replaces longing. Confidence replaces waiting. This shift in inner being changes everything, because life is always responding to who you are, not what you want. There is no distance between you and your fulfilled desire, only a difference in vibration. The moment you bridge that gap with feeling, you collapse the distance. You have entered a new state, and the outer world must conform. This is why imagination is sacred. When you enter the scene in your mind and feel the reality of your wish as though it were happening now, you are not pretending, you are creating. You are rehearsing the vibration of your destiny until it becomes natural, inevitable, and manifest. So close your eyes and feel it done. Let your heart live in the world you have already created within. Walk in the confidence of completion, because the very instant you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the shift occurs. And what was once unseen begins its journey toward visibility, drawn by the power of your inner conviction. Stay ready, because what you've prepared for inwardly must appear outwardly. Every vision you've held, every prayer you've whispered, every belief you've cultivated has been building a foundation in the unseen. Life responds not to chance, but to readiness, to the one who has already become in consciousness what they seek to become in form. The outer world is simply the mirror of your inner preparation. When you live in readiness, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, you invite the unseen to reveal itself as tangible experience. Readiness is not waiting with anxiety, it is standing in quiet confidence. It is the awareness that your preparation has already called forth the fulfillment of what you desire. You do not chase it because you understand it is drawn to you by divine law. The universe does not give randomly. It gives precisely to those who are in alignment with what they've imagined. What you hold within is forming its reflection without. If you've built your inner world with faith, gratitude, and expectancy, then what's forming around you must mirror those states. Every inner rehearsal becomes an outer event. The conversations you've imagined, the emotions you've practiced, the identity you've assumed. All of these create energetic blueprints that reality must follow. You do not need to force the manifestation, you only need to stay ready for its arrival. Readiness means keeping your vibration steady even when nothing seems to move. It means refusing to slip back into doubt just because your senses haven't caught up. The unseen world always moves first, and the outer follows in divine timing. When you are truly ready, you no longer question if it will happen. You know it already has. You wake up with peace, not panic. You speak with certainty, not hesitation. You act as though the blessing is already part of your story, and in that assumption, you magnetize it into being. This is how the law of manifestation works. The energy of readiness pulls forth the corresponding form. You cannot be ready within and remain empty without. Life must echo the state you sustain. Sometimes the test of readiness is patience. The silence before manifestation is not a void. It's confirmation that everything is aligning in perfect order. The unseen is arranging people, opportunities, and circumstances around your inner preparation. When the alignment is complete, manifestation appears not as surprise but as recognition. You'll know it by the sense of, I knew this was coming. So remain in that posture of expectancy. Keep nurturing your vision. Keep feeling the reality of what you've already claimed within. The moment you stay ready, you declare to life that you believe in what you've been forming. And because belief is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, your faith becomes the force that calls your vision into form. Stay ready. Because what you've prepared for inwardly is not just coming, it is already unfolding, waiting for you to recognize it as your new reality. Everything is aligning perfectly, even if you can't yet see the full picture. The unseen has been working on your behalf, arranging people, opportunities, and divine timing to bring your vision into form. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to stand in readiness, in faith, and in the certainty that it's already done. The shift is not something you chase, it's something you awaken to within yourself. The moment you assume the feeling of fulfillment, the world begins to echo it back. This is your time, the season where the unseen becomes visible, where what you've held in faith begins to unfold in form. The waiting was never wasted. It was preparation. Every delay was divine alignment. Every challenge was shaping your readiness. Now, everything is turning in your favor. The atmosphere of your life is shifting to match the vibration of your belief. So, stay grounded in gratitude, stay anchored in faith. Walk as if it's already done, because it is. The bridge has been crossed, the seed has taken root, and the harvest is near. Thank you for listening. Stay faithful, stay expectant, and above all, stay ready, because everything is about to shift in your favor.